From Corolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, MMA fighter James Wilks. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and Dave Damashek's here for good sports. And now, a man who's never been overdrawn at the Spank Bank, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on the magnet. Get warm up. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for sharing. So the ratings went up, so thanks for sharing with a friend. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian. This is happening. Right, I love that TV show. Whoa, so much to talk about. I was listening to, I think it was KFI. Is that 640 out here?
Yep, 6:40 a.m.
On the way on in, and they did a news story. And it was some, I don't know, place out of Covina or whatever, and they're totally 100% smoke-free. And then they were explaining that they've outlawed vaping and smoking on the premises and smoking in the parking lot and vaping in the parking lot. And then the spokesperson for the place said, you are allowed to smoke in your car, on the parking lot, in your car, on your break.
Off the pier.
Provided you bring a change of clothes.
Yes. Yep. I heard that as well.
And I was like, okay, everybody, you want more of this?
That's
Do you
crazy.
want more of this? What the fuck is wrong with you people? Do you want more? Do you want more? All I'm saying is slow your roll. Let's shrink it down a little bit. Just shrink it down. I'm not saying dismantle the military. I'm just saying slow the roll with the fucking bureaucrats telling you everything. All the time you do know you're going to not let your kids be able to walk through the park under 11 and a half years of old. You're going to get arrested for thrown in parent jail. Like this notion of dumb people who want power and we're just shoveling it at them is an insane thought, everybody. Please tamp it down. It's not to the light.
It's always sad when the new technology emerges that kind of reveals, pulls back the shroud. It's like, oh no, you don't want this thing to go away. You just want to tell people what to do, like with vis-a-vis smoking or vis-a-vis the morning after pill. Or, it's like, oh, this should solve your problem.
Right.
No, we just don't want people to do this thing.
We don't have a problem.
Yeah.
We have a muse, and that's telling people what to do.
Yep.
By the way, if you get off or if you get an endorphin rush or whatever of telling people what to do, kill yourself. There's something wrong with you. You have bad wiring. You're flying in the face of this country.
Aren't you constantly trying to coach up your family?
This whole, oh yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I asked them, I begged with them what to do. Look,
Begging's different.
Look,
right?
if there's somebody
Pleading.
saying eat your vegetables, then eat your vegetables. If someone is telling you to take a shower before you come in from your break because you smoked in the parking lot, then that makes no sense. And by the way, we're not done because you changing your clothes doesn't mean it ain't your hair.
That's right.
You're going to need
And
a
your
shower.
nails. Yeah.
You're going to have to take a shower.
So the two groups that need to come to work or wherever with a change of clothes are toddlers at preschool and smokers at work.
Well,
That's fair.
Okay.
could you guys?
Tessa has to change of clothes in case
Yep.
she smokes.
I've said,
You
and
do in case you piss yourself.
I've said without hyperbole, we judge smokers more than we judge deadbeat dads. Could you guys imagine for a millisecond what a utopia we would be living in if we went after deadbeat dads and childless, fatherless parents and broken families with the same vigor and the same campaigns and the same billboards and the same proclamations and the same ordinances and everything. If we went after dads who abandoned their families with the same zest that we've gone after smokers starting 20 years ago, we'd be living in a fucking utopia.
Yeah, different society.
You guys could sleep with your doors unlocked. But instead, we took every ounce of energy and every taxpayer dollar and we shifted it toward smoking, and the dads not raising their kids, neither here nor there in terms of these people.
Right. And you know where we would start it? That billboard on Santa Monica with the rolling
The
number
digital,
of
yeah.
how many people die, how many fathers are leaving their families.
How many dads just moved to Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, presumably you'd like to help society.
No.
Except for you don't. Here's what you do. You would like to tell people what to do, but here's the caveat. I am dying to tell everyone what to do all the time. That's what these people are. But I don't want any pushback. So
That sounds
if
good.
somebody said,
That's great.
hey, I wish these dads, why don't we do something? Why don't we start finding these dads that are abandoning their children? And someone goes, you're racist. And they'd go, oh shit.
So sorry.
Who's smoking? Who's smoking?
Yeah, we can all
Because
agree
they're
on that.
fucking pussy cowards. They're cowards. They're cowards, which is, I want to tell everyone what to do. I don't want to have to deal with any of the stuff where people call me a racist or call me anything. So I'm just going to go right for smoking because that's the cleanest, easiest thing I can go after and still have my hero status. All right, so I thought that was funny. If you can smoke, you can smoke in your car,
Don't get
allow
crazy.
It. We'll allow it.
but you have to bring a change of clothes. Now, but let's really drill down. You better keep the change of clothes in your trunk
That's
Right?
a really good point.
or,
Or in a plastic
or in
bag.
Tupperware
Yeah.
inside of your car.
Ziploc.
And you are going to have to wipe yourself down or blow yourself with compressed air or something like that. Because if you got yourself a beard and a little bit of hair going, you're coming back
Bringing
in.
it back in.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. And then you have to enforce this stuff like, hey, Rob, those are the same slacks. Well, I changed my sweater. I know, but we should have complete wardrobe change. No, these are just blue jeans. They're different. You know how Einstein? Hey, genius.
Yeah.
You know Einstein? No?
Sure.
Oh, you do?
Oh.
He wore the same thing every day. This is a
Was
new
he a smoker?
This is a new version of my Rams hoodie and Dockers.
HR's like, hey, can I come in the office? I gotta smell your pants.
We have a specially trained dog.
Is this the new don't ask, don't tell if you're a smoker?
I guess.
Don't ask, don't smell.
There it is.
All right, all in the name
Don't
of
ash, don't
all in the
smell.
name of progress. All right. No movement in the homeless population or traffic, but we're really cracking down on the vaping in the parking lot. And the guy's camera.
That's getting worse.
Oh yeah,
That's getting worse.
Brian's right.
Yeah.
I got home late last night, and we just needed to go on a walk. So Andy and I, my fiance and I, went on a long walk around North Hollywood. Very dangerous. Felt very unsafe.
Really?
A lot of underpasses, a lot of trash, a lot of tents, a lot of needles, a lot of growling humans that are actually growling
Where
at you.
did
That's
you
their
guys
stomachs.
go? Because the house I grew up in, and then the house I moved to
Not far from there.
with my dad, and then my first
It's that
apartment and my grandparents' house. All you literally live in between all
do.
three of those houses.
I'll tell you, our main epicenter was sort of around the NoHo Diner. So under that underpass, back,
Wait,
up and down
where's the NoHo?
Magnolia.
That's too new for me.
Oh, it's on Magnolia. It's it seems old, but I
Heading
think
toward
they just-
Lancashire?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's maybe 9 blocks in from Laurel.
And when you
Global
get there, the theater I
International show.
built is still there. I'm going to go by
yeah.
there and see if it's
That's
still
right.
still up running. All right. I was doing Cavino and Rich's show on Sirius XM, Nice Guys, yesterday, and I was they were talking to me about, are you going to run for mayor or whatever? And I said, I'll tell you, well, first things first.
And all your ample free time.
The city's being run horribly, but I said, if I did, I would start just laying out policies, and the policies wouldn't be like no child should go to bed hungry,
Yeah,
like
not
not that. It'd be absolute straight ahead things. And I just said, first things first. I hate those freeway signs. They're waste, but they're such a huge. It could be a huge asset, and they're nothing. Obviously, click it or tickets a little less than zero because everyone's in a car and they're trying.
made that decision.
They made the decision. Slow for the cone zones, about a two out of 7,000 because we're already slow and everyone kind of gets the cone zone and we see the cones. That's
Yeah.
what the cones
Yeah,
are
the
for.
bright orange and huge.
And all that kind of
Hard to
stuff.
miss.
And also, the only time those freeway signs, and there's probably 1,000 of them heated up, spread out all over the Southland. The only time one of those signs has anything close to information on it is when it says 20 minutes to downtown, except for that's null and void now
Oh, yeah.
because everyone has Waze.
Yeah, that's-
Everybody.
that's totally, obsolete.
every human being has a phone, and the whole 20 minutes to Topanga Canyon on the 1/3, that now it's a zero burger
We
because
know.
we got Waze. And by the way, the Waze is better than whatever you got, and I don't want to time myself to downtown. I have to get on Hoover Street and go to Garrigus' office or something like that, right? So the one thing that does have any kind of useful information on it, that was 10 years old, and now everyone has Waze or whatever technology they use for that. So they're gone. They're null and void. I said, if I'm in charge, first thing, those things are up for sale, highest bidder. Okay, okay, YouPorn doesn't get to advertise.
There will be a governing body.
But imagine the latest comic book movie is coming out this Friday, and they get that Sony or Fox or Disney gets hold of all those things for the week going into. How much would they pay?
Well, how many times have we been tweeted like those clever signs, like "May the Force be with you," slow or whatever it is? Like you can integrate the Avengers or
don't use the Force, use your blinker,
that kind of thing. Whatever.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even do that. I just.
But I'm saying we get those tweets all the time.
I agree. I would just go. These are for sale. And if you got a movie opening this weekend or Super Bowl Doritos or whatever
John
it is,
Wick says, speed it up.
I'm not even with that. I'm going full commercial. You can have it. Click for the cones. Click it or tickets is $0. I don't need John Wick telling me to slow for the cones. I'm selling.
John Wick says speed it up.
All right, I'm going for the highest bidder, and we'll just go week to week. It'll be McDonald's. It'll be Sony. It'll anything you can think of. That's what it'll be. And every single penny that is generated from that will be going toward the monorail that feeds LAX. That's it. That's number one.
Oh, what a dream.
It's not going into the pension fund for the firemen and the school teams. It's not going to get whacked up. Whatever comes off that sign is going right to the monorail. That's number one.
That's
Pure
great.
and simple. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Have you guys heard about, speaking of LAX, have you guys heard about this? Reason number 10,000, way number 10,000, the city is making everything a little bit worse. They're banning Lyft and Uber from LAX.
What?
Now you have to get dropped off and pick up at a remote lot.
Yes.
They already made it harder because they had to go to certain stops. You know what I mean? So you had to go upstairs to the designated.
You already do that.
But now they're bowing to the taxi union or whatever, and they're saying no. But there's no explanation. There's no explanation that makes that reasonable, except for we're bowing to the
a medallion costs $100,000 that goes to the city.
It's better for the consumer, of course. Someone was like, this makes the airport more crowded if there's Lyft and Uber. Wrong! Lyft and Uber only shows up when they're called or to drop someone off. So that person would be taking a car there anyway or getting picked up anyway. That's not an additional car.
And you guys remember, with everything, my favorite thing is all the doom and the gloom, and it's always a two-way street. I can remember years and years ago, I love any scare tactic commercial like Prop 187, So there was a commercial, and it'd be like, if Prop 187 passes, they're going to add 29 cents tax to every pack of cigarettes sold in California. And then they have this sort of white guy with the scruffy, it's not, they can't use a Mexican or black guy. This guy's 23-year-old white guy, but they tell him not to shave for 3 days. And he goes, so I'm going to go to Nevada, and I'm going to buy my cigarettes, and I'm going to sell them here, and I'll make a lot of money.
Profit.
And with that money, you know what you can buy? A lot of these. And he lifts his shirt, and he has a pistol stuffed in his pants, and I'm
Jesus,
like...
A to B, I don't know about that.
Right. Now, I'm just sitting there as a 24-year-old non-smoker going, wait a minute. If I'm going into the 7-Eleven in Van Nuys at 11 o'clock at night to get a pack of cigarettes, and there's a guy in a primered van going, hey, bub, huh? Over here.
29 cents?
Yeah. Come into the van. We'll drive to the park. It's
You need a Lucy?
Yeah, or I'll spend the 29 cents.
Hey, you look responsible. You want to get in this business?
So they do the whole thing where all that money is going to do, it's going to fund the gangs because they're going to create a black market and blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, they lose and they move on. Forget it. And nothing ever happens. It's, 53,000 people die of secondhand smoke or not, whatever. Moving on. And if you just think back to that kind of short time to Lyft or Uber in its infancy, and just 6 years ago, and they were saying, do you want strangers, unprofessional strangers coming, non-professionals showing up at your house in their own cars, and not regulated, not sanctioned? Which would have worked if we all didn't ride in the worst cabs ever, with the worst drivers ever, with the smelliest cabs ever, with the most miles on them, with the worst suspension, with no springs in the backseat, and them driving like maniacs. If we all hadn't experienced that, it might have worked.
That's the number one reason by far they succeeded. It wasn't it wasn't that it was a little bit cheaper. It wasn't that it was the automated payment through the credit card. That was nice. But the fact that it was an alternative to taxi cabs. We have a lot of horrible taxi experiences.
Right. So as compared to what?
Yeah.
Being carried, you're carried to weights. So it works. It's a good idea.
The market decided.
It's a perfect example of how we do when smart people look. We can't we can't pay smart people fast enough who are doing something that we want done, who are providing a service that we want done. Nobody says, I get driven everywhere for free, and that's the way it is. No, you provide this. It's a fair price. Anyone, and we've traveled all around the country, it's a godsend when you're coming out of the comedy club at night, or when you're, obviously hailing a cab.
Oh, God.
When there's no place to hail the cab, where we are calling the cab, it'll be a 40-minute wait.
Yep, an hour and a half.
You just have to have the hostess call it for you.
Right. Okay. Obviously, this is a great thing, and it's once again proven that when you get the private sector together with the populist, together with smart and responsible, you then create this thing that benefits everyone. Now, what the government does is they sit around with their arms folded and they go, we're not getting paid. And then I go, hey, bitch, you are getting paid. You're getting paid tax money from all that this generates.
Yeah.
And they
That's
go,
a given. We want more.
That's good, but we can do a lot better.
we could do better. Yeah. So, what about the deal? Don't they have to ask us permission to drive people? Why aren't they paying us to drive? They should have to buy a postage stamp from us so that we give them permission so they can. They're like, no, they're just driving. And then so they let it go for a little while, and then they go, we got to get in on this.
Right.
How are we getting in on? We're not wetting our. It's a mafia thing.
Right.
It's like, well, how do we wet our beaks? And it's like, you don't. You serve the public. This is something people want. There's always little hitches and hiccups along the way, like there is in any business. A driverless car is going to get into an accident or whatever. By and large,
Or a rape gone wrong, like Gina said.
rape gone wrong.
It happens.
People, if you asked all of us, hey, we're going to Denver this weekend. You guys want to Uber or you want to do a cab? Everyone says Uber. So,
Yeah,
or
good
Lyft
question.
or whatever. Okay, so it works. We prefer it. We're the people. We're the taxpayers. We have spoken. You guys love this thing where people give you $100,000 for medallions and then you let them drive a cab.
Right.
I get it. It's a
Very
sweet,
gracious.
it's a sweet deal for you. But what you guys should be doing is focusing on the monorail that's going into LAX, not the Ubers that are picking up people in LAX. That's thing. But it's like, but wait a minute. One thing cost us money.
Right.
That's the way they look at it.
By the way, you keep saying monorail in LAX. People outside the area are going to think we have a monorail in LAX.
Oh,
we do
very
not.
much not.
We do not. It is archaic.
Right.
Quick pitch for you. You should run for mayor, and here's why. Because I don't think you're busy enough, and I don't know if you have your next documentary idea. So I think we document you running for mayor.
It'll be awesome.
Two birds, one stone. The public will love it.
So then, let's see. The next thing I was talking about was somebody sent me this 50-year-old Dragnet clip. Harry Morgan. People forget about Jack Webb. They remember Jack Webb, but they forget about Harry Morgan from.
I forgot about him.
Harry. Well, he was the MASH. He was MASH.
Oh,
Yeah, he
was
took
in
over.
MASH?
He took over Sergeant Potter, or whatever. When McLean Stevenson left MASH, he took over as the chief.
You know this guy.
He took over.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took over on MASH. Anyway, MASH is such a weird. MASH is such a weird series. They're like McLean Stevenson, who you loved. He's like the Joker, and he's funny. He was like bumbling. He's like that sort of bumbling captain. And it's like he's finally got his papers. He's going to Hanoi, and then at the end they're like, his helicopter crash. He's dead.
Yep.
And it's like,
Oh,
all right.
Well, that was
See you in
fun.
season 7.
Moving on.
Like, you didn't have. He could have just went home.
Or he could have made it.
He could have made it. You didn't have to have him die that way.
A little
But anyway.
vindictive, like write him out. You know what I mean? Is like
Right.
a vindictive producer.
Oh, yeah, we'd kill him. So, Bill Gannon and Joe Friday, and this is 50 years old, and he's talking to some kids. By the way, the kids were always the best because they were hippies. You know what I mean?
Dirty hippies.
Now, this same speech, the only difference between then and now is then they were talking to the kids, like 18, 19-year-olds. Now we're talking to 55-year-olds the same way. But let's listen to a speech, 50 years old, and tell me if a lot of the beats sound familiar to today's dialogue.
You just don't understand.
Maybe we do, son. Don't think you have a corner on all of virtue vision in the country, or that everybody else is fat and selfish and you're the first generation to come along that's felt dissatisfied. They all have, you know. about different things, and most of them didn't have the same opportunity and freedoms that you do. Let's talk poverty. Most places in the world, that's not a problem. It's a way of life. And rights, they're liable to give you a blank stare because they may not know what you're talking about. The fact is, more people are living better right here than anywhere else ever before in history. So don't expect us to roll over and play dead when you say you're dissatisfied. It's not perfect, but it's a great deal better than when we grew up. 100 men standing in the street hoping for one job, selling apples on the street corner. That's one of the things we were dissatisfied about, and you don't see that much anymore.
You're taller, stronger, healthier, better educated, and you live longer than the last generation. And we don't think that's altogether bad. You've probably never seen a quarantine sign on your neighbor's door. Diphtheria, scarlet fever, whooping cough. Probably none of your classmates are crippled with polio. You don't see many mastoid scars anymore. We've done quite a bit of fighting all around the world. Whether you think it was moral or not, a lot of people are free today to make their own mistakes because of it. And that may just include you.
I don't know. Maybe part of it's the fact that you're in a hurry. You've grown up on instant orange juice. Flip a dial, instant entertainment. Dial 7 digits, instant communication. Turn a key, push a pedal, instant transportation. Flash a card, instant money. Shove in a problem, push a few buttons, instant answers. But some problems you can't get quick answers to, no matter how much you want them. We took a little boy into Central Receiving Hospital yesterday. He was 4 years old. He weighs 8.5 pounds. His parents just haven't bothered to feed him. Now, give me a fast answer to that one. One that'll stop that from ever happening again. And if you can't settle that one, what about the 55,000 Americans who will die on the highways this year? That's nearly 6 or 7 times the number that'll get killed in Vietnam. Why aren't you up in arms about that? Or is dying in a car somehow moral? Tell me how to wipe out prejudice. I'll settle for just the prejudices you have inside yourselves. Show me how to get rid of the unlimited capacity for human beings to make themselves believe that they're somehow right and justified in stealing from somebody or hurting somebody. And you'll just about put this place here out of business.
I don't think that we're telling you to lose your ideals or your sense of outrage. They're the only way things ever get done. And there's a lot that still needs doing. And we hope you'll tackle it. You don't have to do anything dramatic like trying to come up with a better country. You can find enough to keep you busy right here. While you're at it, don't break things up in the name of progress or crack a placard stick over somebody's head to help him see the light. Be careful of his rights, because your property and your person and your rights aren't any better than his. And next time you may be the one to get it. We remember a man who killed 6 million people and called it social improvement.
So hang in. Don't try to build a new country. Make the old one work. It has for over 400 years. And by the world's standards, that's hardly more than yesterday.
Damn.
That's a lot of dialogue.
They
I know.
lit those dudes up.
Good cop, bummer cop.
Yeah, put that in your Nehru jacket and smoke it.
My God.
I love it.
The irony, the one thing that's the same is that's coming back is the vaccinations.
Yeah.
We got to stay away from certain kids.
Yeah.
I know.
Instant orange juice was quite the progress, though. What's mastoid? What's a mastoid scar?
I don't
I was
know.
looking it up, but
You got to
some sort
look
of-
it up. I didn't know. I was watching it and listening to it as well. And I didn't know what that was either. All right. So I thought that was interesting,
That's
especially.
crazy.
Well, it's also funny when I say to you kids, you got instant entertainment with your 500 channels and your YouTubes and your internet. And then you looked at instant
Yeah.
entertainment
Yeah.
as orange juice.
With your push pedal car.
And 3 channels.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mastoid is the part of your.
Part of your skull located behind your ear. And it's
So-
filled with air cells made of bone, and they would remove the diseased air cells.
Wow.
Gil.
Diseased air cells. All right.
That's
So
great.
I was talking to you guys about. Let's see. We're talking with talking about charter schools and vouchers and that kind of stuff, and how. Well, I don't know. On the same subject, I look at taxi cabs as public schools and vouchers and charter schools as Uber and Lyft. Like, it's sort of, you have a system. The system is sort of run by the government, so to speak. Now, even cabs are better than schools because they're not wholly run by the government. They sell them medallions and stuff, but we all agree that the competition sort of helps and the choice helps.
Right.
And, again, people can go, those drivers aren't qualified, or how do we know? How do we know their cars are roadworthy? It's like we don't know everything. And there may be some bad charter schools, or there may be some bad uses of vouchers. There's always a bad version of everything. But in general, choice and competition tends to kind of raise all the boats, right? It just sort of it'll force them to
forces you
do
to do
more.
better.
Yes, the taxi cab companies have to compete a little bit now. They're going to have to figure something out. So that was it's my general rule. I'm like, well, what if there was something called Cellular LA Unified, and it was just a phone, and it's all the same phone, and they issued you a phone, and it would be gray, and it'd be the size of a shoebox, and it wouldn't work most of the time. Or maybe the people in the better neighborhoods, it would work, but the people in the worst neighborhoods, it wouldn't work. I just don't like big, really anything, and I like people being accountable, and I like people being kept on their toes. So when I started thinking about charter schools and vouchers and things like that, I went, yeah, good. Let's take that money and take it to a school that's doing a better job and get your kid a better education. Also, and it was Matthew Modine who came in last week and was promoting his movie Miss Virginia about it, but it kind of got me thinking about it. But then also, I always wonder, like, who is against this? This is great, and it really helps the kids at risk, the black kids, Hispanic kids, the kids that are really getting crushed in these bad school areas. It helps them the most. So we should all be down with it, especially the politicians. But they're not. So I'll play you, I don't know, do we have, I'll play you a little clip of just the general overall gestalt from charter and vouchers, or sort of how they work. You got the overall video, not the AOC one. Yeah, you got it? Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Starts off with Bill de Blasio.
Sorry, who is this?
De Blasio, who's...
PBS News Hours, like Town Hall or something?
Yeah, this is actually done by Reason TV.
Okay.
De Blasio's just talking about... He's talking at the teachers union conference.
It's all to go for great.
And, well, here we go.
I am sick and tired of these efforts to privatize a precious thing we need, public education. I know we're not supposed to be saying hate. Our teachers taught us not to. I hate the privatizers, and I want to stop them.
Speaking recently before the country's largest union, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio came out against the very concept of charter schools. But what's disturbing is the extent to which his anti-charter animus is rapidly becoming a core value in the Democratic Party. As the head of the nation's largest school system, de Blasio's prejudices are also having a direct impact on individual lives. In New York City, 123,000 students out of a public school system of 1.1 million attend charter schools. Unsurprisingly, the mayor's remarks drew hot fire from the hometown tabloids. His anger isn't aimed at the man in the mirror who spent $800 million in taxpayer money promising and miserably failing to deliver fast and intense improvements in struggling traditional public schools, snarled the New York Daily News, and let the record show that a man wealthy enough to afford to buy a home in Park Slope, who was therefore able to send his son and daughter to fine public elementary and middle schools and then off to selective public high schools, now wants to deny alternatives to poorer families. The hostility that New York progressives, especially white New York progressives, have toward charters is already taking its toll on poor minority kids stuck in failing districts. The state legislature last month elected not to lift the cap on the number of charters allowed in New York City, despite overwhelming demand from parents. As local political personality and columnist Errol Lewis noted, in the 2017-18 school year, about 59% of black students attending charters passed the state math test, compared with only 25% in regular district schools.
Almost double.
One charter school in the Bronx recently saw every single one of its 8th graders earn a perfect score on the state algebra exam, despite being situated in the nation's poorest congressional district. Half of kids attending traditional public schools in the same district failed the test.
53% of the charters kids are African American, 38% are Latino, 81% are low income, free and reduced lunch, and they're outscoring the traditional public schools in every measurable dimension.
We know
I understand where there are problems, like, there are 53,000 people on this waiting list and so forth, but there's nothing you can learn from them?
We partner with the ones that share those values of inclusion. We work with them. Best practices are shared both ways. I think there are some charter schools that do good work. I think there's some charter schools that are test prep factories. I think there's some charter schools that are exclusionary, and that goes against it.
Hold on a second. I'll take a test prep factory.
It's not so bad.
Over just failing everything all the time, number one. And number two, we partner with ones that value that inclusive, their values are. What are we talking? How do you vet these things?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either.
Is
but
test prep factory a legitimate like criticism? Like, great.
That's
You're teaching them information they need to know for a test.
Get you ready for those stupid standardized tests.
that car wash over there, it's a car clean factory. Is that where you want to drop your van off, dude?
Sounds exactly where I want to drop my van off.
Huh?
These kids are going to take these tests and they're going to be getting into better schools and take the SAT eventually.
Well, whenever we're grading the school, we go only 12% pass the test on. So what's wrong?
That's the measure of success.
It's also scary that there's some schools that agree with us politically that we'll be friends with.
deal
It's
with
just
them.
the other schools that disagree with us. We don't deal with them.
Everything I believe in.
Bill de Blasio's political career has been marked by the extent to which he's willing to sell out his constituents, in this case, poor kids in failing schools, in order to advance his own political career.
Feels even-handed.
All right. So, yes, this guy hates de Blasio. You should hate de Blasio.
Yeah.
He should want these schools. He should have vouchers. We should go out and compete like Uber and Lyft,
Right.
voucher and charter, Uber and Lyft against the big cab companies. And considering, I don't know if it could physically get worse in certain school systems and districts in Baltimore, or Chicago, or something like that. I'm always kind of having this argument with people where they're like, yeah, but do you want, or what if, or, some of those schools, they skim the money. It's like, okay, but wait a minute. Didn't we start this conversation by saying the schools in Baltimore are unusable?
What's coming out the other side?
So let's just say this is 10% better than the unusable school. Isn't that better? Like, where are we starting from? That's my sort of question with everyone. Like, you're talking about failing systems, failing the community, the cycles of poverty. Right. So I'm saying, here's something that may work, and you're going, that's dangerous. And it's like more dangerous than the thing that's not working.
Or more dangerous than pissing off the school union.
Right.
Another metric that I never see cited, which I have to imagine is really high, is parent satisfaction with the charter schools. Like,
yes.
Are you happy with your kid's performance? Are you happy that your kid is here? Would you rather he or she be like? That's obviously got to be very, very high in favor.
They show up at those, in those auditoriums, and there's 1,000 people, and like, we can only take 250 kids, and the ones fall to the ground and kiss it, and the other ones break down into tears, and like other moms are trying to throw their kids over the fence.
Yeah.
Like, take them.
Yep.
Yeah, like
it's
they're
a lottery.
Getting off a sinking ship.
Yep.
So I would say, I think mama knows best. I feel like if mama is desperately trying to get their kid out of this school and into that school, or even maybe it's a restaurant. She's desperately trying to get him out of a Golden Corral and into an Arby's or whatever. I believe that mom has some experience in that neighborhood. I don't know that neighborhood. My kids don't go there, but I bet she's got her feet on the ground.
Yeah.
She knows what's going on. So they work, and they work well. And then as far as the teachers' unions fighting it tooth and nail, remember you guys got into this business because you love children?
Ostensibly.
So I know the more kids that can be warehoused in your shit show, the more money you guys are going to get from the state. But if you really do love them kiddies and you really want them to have a fighting chance, I don't know. I'd say going an alternative to what you're providing, and you will up your game as the competition grows around you.
And also, I know this is only one element, but isn't one of the huge problems in public schools overcrowding in the school?
I was just going to say.
So,
Right.
yeah, you cut the classroom not even in half, and now there's room for kids to learn. There's literal space.
Right.
Feels like it.
Yep. All right. All right.
Or not.
Or not. We can fight it. We can all fight against it. He hates it.
Oh.
All right. How can he hate something that works or is at least as effective? How can you literally hate? You should at least just be sort of, I don't know, come see, come saw.
Right.
Yeah, but no, you hate it. Well, you hate it because you're talking to a group of unionized teachers. I thought there was something interesting. Well, we'll play a little clip as long as we're on education, which was Neil deGrasse on Mar that Max Pata pulled, which is him talking about education.
Right.
So we used to just have to deal with that. In the last few years, we've also had to deal with people who think it might be flat. Which is stupid.
So I've said this before. I think the rise of the flat earthers is evidence of two things. One, we live in a country that protects free speech. Two, we have a failure of our educational system. So I don't want to run after all the flat earthers. I'm going to turn around back to the school system and say, where has it failed in such a way that a full-grown adult coming out of this system can think the earth is flat? That's where I'm focused.
I agree.
Yeah, that's true. That's sort of like get the families intact, get the schools working. Well, the schools will work when the families are intact, and then we don't have to worry about flat earthers.
Yeah.
Or gangbangers, for that matter. We don't have to worry about a lot of stuff because we'll have a good system and they'll
Good
be
base.
intact.
Yeah.
But first, we got to stop vaping, and then we can move forward.
Or
Knock out the big guns.
yes,
All right.
work showers.
The one last one, which I found ironic, which was AOC was talking at Bernie's rally, and she was talking about her own upbringing, which was it's uplifting. But when she was giving her speech, she was essentially making the argument for vouchers.
Okay.
As she made her speech, which is exactly what she did. So we'll listen to AOC.
Looked at the quality of education in the Bronx, and they looked at 50% dropout rates. They looked at the inequity of education, the inequity of education funding, the fact that teachers weren't paid, the fact that kids weren't given their tools to succeed, and that frankly, it not only had to do with their income, but it had to do with their melanin too. And so they made, and my family made a really hard decision. And my whole family chipped in to buy a small house about 40 minutes north of here. And that's when I got my first taste of a country who allows their kids' destiny to be determined by the zip code that they are born in.
All right.
And
So she got to move to a better school district and go to a better school instead of the one that she would have had to go to. So meaning now she had to go buy a new house and move, but you could get a voucher and hop on a bus and you wouldn't have to buy a new house.
And not uproot your family.
Some people can't afford to buy a new house to go to a different school. So there you go, AOC. She's down with it. That's the plan. That's what she did. That's my argument. That's her argument. Okay. I hope she's down with vouchers and charter schools, Max Zapata, because if she's not, she's kind of arguing against her own experience.
It'd be a very confusing message.
All right. It's also weird when you're in the school with all the brown people and you're discriminated against, I guess, but then you go to the better school with more white people and you're not discriminated against. We got to write that down for the next meeting. We don't want to be outdone by the brown people in terms of holding the brown people down.
I did the thing that people are, that I'm railing against. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's happening.
Yes. Okay. Let me hit Tommy John and then we'll do a little Mr. Brightside. Tommy John. They don't give an F. They give 3 Fs. Fabric, fit, and function. Proprietary fabrics that perform like nothing you've ever worn before. No wedgie guarantee. Comfortable stay-put waistbands. Luxurious soft. What am I wearing?
What you got?
I got mine.
Hold on. We're gonna find out.
I had
like a camo or a shamrock? Something's going on in there.
I had to retire a pair today. I had to.
Did they rip?
I had to deep six them.
R.I.P.
I've been. I've worn them so many times over the last 4 years. I literally just wore a hole in them.
Yeah.
I just wore. I've worn them biking and cycling and I'm sorry, and rowing and walking and I just been.
Just put up with a lot.
But I wear
lost a lot of them
every single day. I would never go back to what you're wearing. They got the no wedgie guarantee, and they don't roll down, and they don't hike up. And if you don't love your first pair, you'll get a refund. And because I got the best pair you'll ever wear, it's free guarantee, but you will love it. And they sell now in 1,200 retail stores all over the country, including Nordstrom's. So go ahead, man. It is the best. It's Tommy John, right, Dawson?
Hurry to TommyJohn.com/Adam to get 20% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com/Adam for 20% off. TommyJohn.com/Adam.
All right. So let's take a quick break. We'll come back and do Mr. Brightside.
Yeah, sure.
Right after this.
Carolla Show. Dateline, Painesville, Ohio. A 49-year-old man was charged with animal cruelty, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest after pulling an object from under his shirt and attacking a restaurant manager. The object was an iguana! Definitely not a Jew!
All right. We'll do a little Mr. Brightside. Do we have an opening for that?
Life got you down? Can't catch a break? Thinking about ending it all? Well, don't. Let Adam turn your frown upside down. It's time for Mr. Brightside.
All right. Let's see. Bernie up there, 20 from Riverside. Do you guys realize, I just heard this on the news, the hottest place in the United States yesterday
was the studio?
Was Anaheim, California.
I find that hard to believe.
And the second hottest place in the United States yesterday was Yorba Linda, where Mike August moved 1 degree cooler.
What about Death Valley?
Yeah.
I
said that outside the area. That's not a traditionally scorching area.
No.
No, but you do that thing where you go, oh yeah, it's so hot in Palm Springs and stuff like that. But Mike was in Vegas yesterday. It was 65. Like
he went there to cool off.
Well, what I mean is it gets colder in Palm Springs at night, and it gets colder at Death Valley at night when it starts to turn. Now, if this was July, but we're at the end of October, then so those places have started to cycle down. You can look it up, Max Rabbit. That's what the news said. And if you think about it, at 96 at the end of October,
that's very hot.
Where is it hotter than that?
Huh?
But anyway, all right, let's see. Bernie?
Hello.
Riverside?
Yes.
98 in Anaheim.
Oof.
Hottest place in the country. What's going on, sweet pea?
I've been having some trouble with my mom lately.
What's going on?
Well, recently, a few years ago, I told her I was bisexual. I came out. But when I told her that I was vice president of my school's LGBT club, she started freaking out on me.
You know how I would couch it if I was a lady and I was going to explain to my mom or my dad I'm bisexual?
How'd that
I would
go?
I've now decided to cut my cock intake in half. Sounds pretty choice, huh, Pops?
That's probably a good idea.
So imagine me taking...
Are you going from 0 to 0?
Imagine me taking several thousand linear feet of cock.
I don't want to imagine that, actually.
Okay, I've chopped that in half.
All right.
Feel better?
Feel better?
I mean, yes.
Okay, now let me move forward.
Don't feel worse.
Well, what I'm saying is my cock intake
Right, how do I understand?
Stop saying it.
Please stop saying cock intake.
Whatever it is, high or low, and it's high. But high or low, I've decided now to cut that number in half.
Please stop saying cock
okay?
intake. Okay,
I hope you'd be supportive.
You know what? Given the choice between full cock intake and half, I'll take half.
Remember earlier when I was explaining to you I was spunk drunk? Now?
It makes more sense in retrospect, now.
Now I'm just buzzed. You understand?
Can we please save this for when we're not at the dinner table?
Well, okay. Another kielbasa?
No! I can barely finish this one.
All right, let me use your kielbasa to illustrate something graphically.
Bernie, did that help?
Did that help? Bernie? No?
Yes.
Okay, wait a minute.
Bernie, are you really bisexual or are you going through a phase?
It's college.
I'm not.
All right, so you've become... Sorry. You came out to being bisexual to your mom.
Yes.
Right. And then you've decided to head the chapter of the bisexual community or group on campus?
Yeah. Well, the whole LGBT.
You get to run the whole thing and you're only half gay?
Damn.
That's why she was outraged.
Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Well, they have principles.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like if Lenny Kravitz took over the NAACP.
Yeah.
It's like, come
Wouldn't
on,
be fair.
buddy.
Yeah.
You got a white dad.
I mean, you're
Come
very
on, give me a
popular.
break.
Very Jewish dad.
Yeah. Think you run this whole place?
Come on.
Bernie?
I'm only vice president.
That
all
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
But if something should happen to the president, like they blow up his motorcade or something, you got to go full lesbo before you slide into that Oval Office.
Can you take that oath?
Yeah, take the oath now. All right, so what do you guys do? How often do you meet? Where? And do you need a guest speaker?
We meet every Thursday in one of the quad buildings, and we have been looking for a guest speaker recently. So,
Okay.
And
Riverside Live Show.
do you have any of the minutes from the last meeting? Like, what do you guys cover?
well, right now we're trying to organize a drag show.
I love
And-
it.
A drag show?
Yes.
Now, is this Top Fuel? Are they funny cars? Is this alcohol? What kind of dragsters are we talking about here? Pro stock? I don't speak your language.
Tell me, every meeting isn't a drag show?
How dare you?
Okay, so you're trying to organize. So you're trying to heal the community by nut jobs dressing up in bolos and stomping around.
I'm sorry, but Visa Gold doing Material Girl is one of the most inspiring things I ever saw on my college campus.
Well, maybe the community shall be healed. All right. You want to think about feeding the homeless or nothing like that? Just let's all put on some kissing potion and mince about. Okay. I'm saying, aren't you guys supposed
speak
to
up for this program?
Well, aren't you supposed to be helping the community? What's the drag show going to do? You're going to raise money and give it to somebody?
Yeah, I think it's to raise money.
Okay. All right, but
And,
not to
we
buy
also do,
frilly
group therapy
things.
sessions.
What's that? Okay. All right. So, all right. And how many folks are in the meeting?
I think there's about 20 and 30 of us.
Okay. And your mom is not happy that you've turned political?
No. She said that if I end up being with a girl, that no guy will ever want to date me ever again.
I beg to
let me
beg
talk
differ.
to your mom.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
If anything goes the other way.
Quite the opposite from what I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell pretty clearly because guys usually aren't in the habit of beating off two ex-partners. But in this case, we make exceptions.
Right.
Just to be honest with you. Bernie, you dislike your mom, right?
I love her. It's just sometimes it's hard.
Well, wait a minute. Last time we talked, wasn't she being kind of bitchy?
Last time
you called me about the smoke detector, right?
Yeah, she said that she didn't want to pay to have the smoke detector batteries replaced.
Right.
Yeah,
that's an issue.
It's a big ticket item. That's a 9-volter. That's no C cell, my friend. That's $4 if it's a penny. Yeah. You can't put a price on peace of mind, but I'd say anything over $350
absurd
would be absurd. Yeah, you had some issues with your mom, and now it's time to pay the fiddler, right?
I just don't know what to do.
All right, hold on a second. Can I tell you one thing I learned from Loveline day one was you fuck around with your kids. Your kids can't really fuck around with you when they're 4, but when they're 24, they can.
It's coming.
And they just figure out, I used to find it all the times, like, I'm dating a black guy, and my dad's out of his mind, and he can't stand it, and I'm off in it, and I would say, like, where do you go to college? And I go, I'm at Arizona State. Like, where's your dad? He's in Newark. It's like, why does he need to know you're dating a black guy? Just date a black guy. It's like, I got it. No, I told him. Why? Why did you do you like it? No, he's a racist. Oh, okay.
Snaps into focus.
All right,
Yep.
it's time. It's payback time, Dad. That's what kids do.
It's amazing.
So her dad or her mom is a bitch, and she knows. But see, here's the thing. My mom, if I wanted to get back at my mom, if I said I'm bisexual, she'd start chilling the champagne or champagne if I bought it for her. But she wouldn't care, right? So if I hated my mom, I'd go, I'm going to vote for Trump this year. And then she'd go, or next year. And then she'd go, that would kill. Like, you got to find the
She'll
thing.
ignore you more.
You got to find the thing that gets them. And Bernie is told her mom this because she knows it's going to get her, right, Bernie?
Well, when I first told her I was bisexual, she was fine with it. I thought she'd be proud that I ended up being the vice president of a club, but she didn't take it well.
You know what I think it is? I think there's the parents that are like, okay, you know, I support you in your own private life, doing your own private thing, but now you're quote unquote putting it on display, and that makes them nervous and uncomfortable. That's my guess.
She's rubbing her face in it.
Right.
Yeah. Is Dad around or no?
He's around, but I'm not telling him.
Shrewd. And did you get the... hey, when you're doing that drag show... Maybe you could raise enough money for a 9-volt battery, so you guys go ahead and get a replacement in the smoke
Put a line item
detector.
in there.
Yeah, carve out the first $4 for the battery.
There are expenses.
Yes, that's right. You living with Mom?
I'll ask my treasurer.
Are you living with Mom?
Yeah, I live with both my parents.
What? When do you think you might be moving out? Like I moved out when I was 19. You know, you're 20. You could think about that.
Maybe 22 if I get a job after I get my degree.
Is scholarship to live on campus not an option?
I go to a community college.
Okay.
They don't have dorms.
Yes, it's not an option.
What are you thinking about doing once you get out of community college?
Well, transferring to a 2-year and then going on to do fashion design.
No, okay. Wait, you're going to transfer to a 2-year or 4-year?
4-year, sorry. My apologies.
I love junior college students. They're the best.
Because they're hard working.
Because it's like college for people who shouldn't be at college but don't feel like working. So that's why you get those kind of answers. All right, Bernie, here's what I would say. We're at the end run of this thing where you live at home and you have to share things with your parents and so on and so forth. It's kind of that thing where you give 2 weeks notice in your job, you know. The boss not going to come in and have a lot of demands. You're not going to go in and go, we're out of coffee. You know, it's just, you got 2 weeks. You're there just to kind of coast.
Just make it.
Yeah, so you just kind of take those. And you're 20 now. You're independent. You know, you'll be 21 soon. You can go out and get a 6-pack and sit in the park, you know, and just burn away the evening. So what I'm saying is let's just coast. Let's kind of keep your head down for the last couple of years. You know, people all this time, they do this thing where it's like, you got to tell these people. You got to make these announcements. You don't hide behind. It's like I'm a huge fan of just kind of going to stay out of this guy's way for 18 months and then move out.
Of course.
And then do whatever you want to do once you move out. Bernie?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think in terms? I'm curious about this bisexuality.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
He's bi-curious.
I would find it almost impossible to be 50% gay and 50% heterosexual. It seems like a mathematical impossibility.
It's a superpower.
It's called being a college chick.
If you feel like you got to lean a little more, you know, what I mean, like if there's a who's a gal you're attracted to, Bernie?
Like someone I know or like a celebrity?
Yeah, give us a name we've never heard of before so we have context.
First and last.
Another junior college answer right there. You guys should all be working at the fucking Gap. Do you understand? Yeah.
No.
Tell us Bernice and Eddie.
She wants to be a fashion designer.
I know. Pick somebody, pick a female that we've heard of.
Brie Larson.
Brie
Nice.
Larson.
Well done.
All right, there you go. Okay, good, solid. And then a guy that we've heard of. Not right. Who?
Come on. That's not
Who?
Not Brian Bishop.
Come on. Why is that picture always ready?
That picture is at the ready. It's always holstered.
Who's a guy you're attracted to?
I'd say I'm sticking with Brad Pitt.
Okay.
Brad Pitt. Brie
I was
Larson.
afraid it was be like a girly guy. You know what I mean?
Brad Pitt. All right, Brad Pitt. Now, I've stationed them both outside of your bedroom door
Surprise.
on a random Wednesday night. And I've said, I'm going to bring one or the other. You can't have them both. I'll just bring one in. And by the way, you don't get the other the next night. You know what I mean? It's just one of them's coming in.
One and done.
One and done.
vaporizes.
And that's it. Who do you pick, Bree or Brad? Or Brian? Not Paul.
Come on.
Okay.
Brie Larson.
Wow, okay.
Me too.
All right. So you're a little more lesbian than hetero, right?
51-49.
Yeah.
Would you say? Would you say all bi people are, well, not all. Most might lean a little gayer than they do straighter.
Well, you're already, going out there, to that destination halfway.
Dipping a toe.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the rest of us wouldn't dare.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Bernie.
Yes.
When do you turn 21?
Next September.
All right. So your dad's cool. You just don't want to upset him with your announcements of being bisexual?
No, I know he'll kick me out.
Oh, my.
He'll kick you out. Is he religious?
Yeah,
He is.
he is. My mom's actually the cooler one of the two.
Don't you feel like it's kind of a burden on your mom, like telling her and then she knows she can't tell your dad?
I didn't think of it that way.
All right. Sorry for introducing that thought. Bernie, I'm going to ask you to spend a lot of time with your friends and to sort of not get into it with your parents over about anything. Look, take it from a pro. You don't have to talk to your parents about anything. You just come and go and leave the house and do whatever you want, then come home and go to bed, and then just get up the next day and just take off and make your own stuff. Especially at 20, you don't need it.
No.
Just go there, treat it like kind of a youth hostel or something. You just go to at night, go to bed, and then just get up the next day and slide out of there. All right, Bernie? You have your youth. And whereas I only have half the world's population as potential sex partners, you have the entire globe.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Good for you. Want to give her some Tommy John?
Yeah, I'm going to give her some Tommy John.
They have great bras now.
They have great bras.
They
They
are
have great
so
everything.
awesome.
They make women's stuff. They make men's stuff. They make everything. All right, so stay on the line, Bernie. We'll get you some Tommy John swag. Let's see. Let's say, as an employee that has no ambition.
Or...
Hold on. How can I be in two places at once?
Come on.
Has a fentanyl addiction?
Oh, my.
Okay, let's try that one. Hey, Dana, 37, San Pedro.
How's it going?
How's it
Adam,
going?
Gina
Good.
Bald.
Yeah. What's going on?
Hi.
Yeah, so I'm 4 months clean from fentanyl.
Mazel tov.
Congratulations.
How is
Has been hard.
Is fentanyl instead of heroin?
Definitely. I made the bad decision to jump from one to the other.
Is it feel? How much different does it feel?
Oh, it's 100 times stronger. And the good thing is it doesn't give you the nod, so you can still be coherent.
Oh, I
But
see.
still-
I thought it was for anesthesia.
Are you saying
How could you be
the
coherent?
heroin kind of makes it nod off and the fentanyl
Well,
doesn't?
Yeah, the fentanyl, it will if you do just keep going, you will nod. But the heroin, for some reason, would knock me out, and so
It
I
is.
switched to that.
They manufacture it in China and they like move it through Mexico. Is that how they do it?
I guess.
Yeah, it's like the world's worst cruise line.
Or best.
There's a huge.
Or best, depending on that.
There's a huge drug cartel government battle going on in Mexico right now.
Really?
You guys heard about this?
No, what's happening?
It's like the El Chapo's son. They tried to break out. The way our news works is there's a huge thing going on in Mexico, but we don't really want to report it because it's kind of a build that wall kind of endorsement. It sounds like there's a lot of guns going and a lot of battle going on, and so we just kind of focus on whatever is going on here or in Canada or whatever. But in Mexico, I don't know, all the broad strokes are they went to go get El Chapo's son, I guess, who's picked up and is running the thing. The cartels are so big and so well armed that the government intervening does not stop them from going to battle with the government. It's sort of essentially like living in a country with two armies. Like it's essentially like going. It'd be like if there's the U.S. Army, and then There's an army that Robert Kraft owns, and his a little better. And then it's like
he edges him out,
and he kind of gets to do what he wants. But if our army ever goes, now come on, you're going to jail for that handy, then he's going to take his troops, and next thing you know, he's going to put a whooping on our army, which is a kind of a weird place to be in as a nation. Good. But I think it was Chapo's son, and I think the government went to go get him, and his army mobilized and back down the government. Jesus. And did they get him back? It's an interesting story, but it's also weird that it's neither here nor there.
Seems important.
Well, the problem is if you hear about it, you'll go, maybe a wall's not such a bad plan, and then they're not down with that.
We're all on board with less drugs, less guns, less El Chapos, less everything. We can all get on board with that. But this is, like you said, it's a huge infrastructure. They're not going across the fucking border like with donkeys. Like, they're either doing drones or they're going under tunnels, elaborate tunnels. Like, the build the wall thing's such fucking small dick thinking. Like, build the wall and stop El Chapo. He's not fucking going across the border on foot. Are you nuts?
No, you have to build a wall. You have to go down. Like, you have to figure out something. You have to do everything. I mean, it's not one thing. I don't know. They do it in Israel. It works. You can do it. You can't. What do you want to do? I mean, why doesn't it work?
I have to imagine that El Chapo or whoever's massive infrastructure is not going to be stopped by a wall. They're going to use a very elaborate tunnel system.
I said they go down. You got to go down. You got to go down too. They do it in Israel.
We should bust up the tunnels. I agree. I'm saying that there should be a better solution.
Well,
I don't know what it is.
Thank you for introducing us to small dick thinking.
No, it's like
I do best.
Here's what you need is you need a wall in certain parts, and in other parts you don't, and then you need drones, you need technology, you need surveillance, you need some
satellite, infrared.
You need stuff that goes down. Israel does the stuff where they tunneled under Israel's walls, and Israel went down 30 feet or whatever, so they couldn't tunnel under, and it's effective, but there's a way to do it that sort of involves all of the buffalo.
Right.
It's not just build a wall, or it's not just no wall. It's just like some wall, some stuff down for tunneling, some stuff for surveillance, some stuff for drones, some stuff for satellites, some stuff for more folks, more ATVs buzzing around out there. But whatever it is, more inspections of trucks going through the place. It's all of the above, but either way,
less paying off of those people who are supposed to be doing the inspections.
Yes,
I'm sure that's a huge problem.
Mexican officials were forced to free Octavio Guzman Lopez, son of El Chapo, after cartel gunmen attacked and turned it into an urban war zone.
Oh my God!
So the cartels,
they're well armed.
So imagine if we took in Al Capone, or think of someone a little
Dillinger.
Yeah, we took in
someone modern.
Someone modern. I don't know what's his name. It's Junior. John Gotti.
Okay.
Imagine we just took in John Gotti in New York, and then the mob just mobilized. Went, now we're taking him back. Yep.
They suppress the upper.
Okay,
that's pretty castrating.
That's where they're living.
Yeah.
That's what that country is. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Wait a minute.
Dana.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Well, you don't live in Mexico. It lives inside you.
Yeah.
So
I was hoping you could Mr. Brightside the situation.
Oh, you've been 4 months. 4 months sober.
My roommate dead.
Oh, wow.
Wait, what happened?
What happened?
So we partied, and I decided to go to bed early. And I get up at 3 a.m. to use the restroom, and I found him just laid out right in front of the bathroom.
His roommate.
On the fentanyl.
Yeah, it was his first time trying it.
Oh,
God.
Well, they say fentanyl is just the scariest and worst of all the stuff. Were you, and was it you that gave him the fentanyl?
Yeah.
Are you being sought after by law enforcement?
No, it was his choice. It was his doing.
Yeah.
It's how they summed it up.
Sometimes they still blame folks that provide it, even when they do it willingly.
How long ago was this, Dana?
His passing was almost 2 years.
Uh-huh. And you've been sober for 4 months. Okay.
I mean, I've been trying off and on, with the guilt of everything. It's no bullshit excuse.
I'll tell you the only way I get where you're at, and there obviously is nothing you can do about it. There's only one thing you can do about it, which is lead a noble, sober life, and in his memory. That's all you can do. It's do all the good you can do. If you get high and get behind the wheel of a car and kill someone with a vehicular manslaughter, then you're not helping his memory or his legacy. You, Dana, shall be his legacy. But if you donate and you work hard and you raise your own family and you stay sober and you possibly help his family through all your diligent work and your prosperity, then you can sort of put a small dent in that guilt. You understand?
Yeah.
So
appreciate that.
How about helping his loved ones through your efforts moving forward?
Well, the thing is, when he started this thing called Laundry of Love, washing clothes for the homeless, and I've been honoring that.
Oh, well, then good. Then you just keep his legacy moving through that. Boy, it's taking a turn for the heavy.
Enjoy your Tommy John.
Enjoy your Tommy John. Oh, you'll get clean Tommy Johns. That's right. Hand them out to the homeless. Eddie, you have an employee that is not ambitious.
Yeah, I would probably have to say non-ambitious is a, I don't know. I mean, that's definitely at the bottom there. I try to help this guy out. He's one of those types of guys that he complains to me. And let me back up a second. I hire him to do certain jobs. I do car restorations, and I hire him to come and do my interiors. He does a great job. He's talented, but I feel like he needs a life manager.
How old is
he? 44 years old.
All right.
All right. And it's just one of those type of things where he'll be gone for a week. You won't hear from him. You'll call him. And then when you do get a hold of him, he starts telling you about how, he's thinking of doing something different and there isn't any work. And then I tell him, I said, well, maybe if you pick up your phone, and answer my calls, you'll understand that I have work for you and work where he can actually make a few $1,000s. I mean, easy. I mean, it's all labor-related stuff. And it just kills me, man, because, I was listening to you. I was listening to the motor that you have and, talk about work ethic and so forth. And I'm the kind of guy that gets up at 5 a.m, makes a list of the stuff I've got to do during the day. And my goal is to try and knock out as much as I can on that list. This guy basically stands in front of me telling me his woes. Smoking, so it's kind of like, well, okay, I know cigarettes aren't cheap. You're telling me you don't have any money to eat. And, you're renting a room somewhere and you're down on your luck, but yet you're standing there smoking and killing an easy 3 hours of my morning telling me that you need to work. And then when I finally do introduce him to customers that need some work done, he said, well, I'm not exactly sure when I'll be able to get to you, maybe in a month or so. And I'm thinking to myself, which one is it, man? You don't have any work. You do want to work. I mean,
listen, let me explain this. Because I've been twisting this Rubik's Cube around for 15 years that never lines up. It never lines up. I cannot tell you all the human beings, sometimes immediate family, sometimes friends, former friends, colleagues and coworkers. There is no change in anybody ever, and it never makes sense. It never makes sense because outsiders go, I don't get it. You're offering the guy, I know. That part where nobody gets it, that's why they're who they are. I've had this happen times 10 with guys I went to high school with, guys, people in my life all the time. They just don't. The answer is no. It makes no sense, and you're not wired that way, so it doesn't make sense to you, but it is, the answer is no. Stop asking. Stop trying to fix it. They'll never change. Whatever the opportunity is, they'll screw it up. Whatever it is you think they want, they won't do it, and they don't. It's a bizarre condition that I didn't think I was going to run into as a human being nearly as much as I run into.
The cement's hardened at 44, too. You know what I mean? Like, if it's 24, maybe you could kind of
Absolutely. Do you know how many people in my life where I've said, like, look, here's all you got to do, and we can do that, and they just don't. It doesn't happen. When you're logical, it completely defies your pattern of thinking. You're like, well, why wouldn't so-and-so just do the blah-blah? And then they would do blah-blah. They don't want it. They don't do it. The people who change are constantly changing and constantly moving forward and constantly evolving. And the people that don't change are Rock of Gibraltar, Easter Island heads that have been locked for time immemorial and will never change. And all the pleading, begging, arguing, yelling, crying, or even just sort of simple logic kind of stuff does not work. Yeah. They don't do it. That's it. It's weird. There's a lot of it. There's way more of it than you would think. Now, I probably see more of it because I come from a worse neighborhood. But nobody does anything. Nobody changes. Nobody, whatever the logic, whatever the, opportunities are opportunities to you and I. They're not opportunities to people that don't want opportunities. I can't tell you how many people I've introduced to Kimmel or introduced to me, and said, look no further than my nephew. Like, hey, boy, sit down. You could be running this place by the time you're 25. It goes nowhere. It's a zero burger.
They have to want it. They have to want to do it.
Oh, yep.
There has to be desire.
And they don't. And this guy's 44 and he doesn't. So I'm now freeing you by lifting this burden off your back where you're using your logical brain to go into their illogical, locked-in brain and go, why won't you do this? Like the conversations I've had with people are go, all you have to do is this, and then we're going to move on to here, and it'll all be great. And they go, fuck you. I've had it happen a million times in my life. It's not worth talking to them anymore. That's it. That's who they are. And you will have to go to bed at night thinking that they know you're the asshole in this equation.
That is 100% true.
That's the extra little fortune cookie you get after the world's worst Chinese food. That you're the dick in this entire equation. You're the dick for reaching out to them and going, you're not doing well. You have things that aren't serving. They don't serve you. You have some qualities that don't serve you. Just fix those things and move forward and flourish.
You can't? Well, then I guess we should part ways, and you will be the bad guy for the rest of your life.
The rest of your life. I mean, I have a best friend from high school that was languishing into his 30s, and I just said to him, man, move out of that crap hole you're renting with 5 guys in Oakland and move to LA and let me help you get on to the Man Show or Crank Yankers. I can get you a writer's assistant job. You can move your way up the ladder. And he just kept saying, like, yeah, I know, I'm working on something, and I'm working, and then I would talk to him like 6 months later, and he's like, oh, I had to declare bankruptcy because I owed Visa $3,200 and stuff. And he just kept telling me he's working a car rental place, and his boss was a bitch, and blah, blah, blah. And about 2 years went by, and I said, hey, man, I've heard all the excuses. When are you going to move out here and get started on this? And he's like, dude, if you didn't meet Jimmy, you'd be right where I am. And I'm like, okay, fine.
But you met me, and I'm offering you a job.
When are you going to do it? And he was like, you got lucky because you. And I was like, I'm giving you an opportunity you don't want. And he was like, you're not my boss. I'm like, he was like, fuck you. And I'm like, fuck you. Never spoke to him again.
You dodged a bullet.
I totally dodged a bullet. I totally did. I just want to know what's wrong with everybody because I know a lot of these people, and it's insane. But the ones that aren't. They're the other way hard.
Sure.
They get it. All right.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome, bro. Yeah. Yeah, Gina, not so much. All right. So there you go. Cut it loose. Keep walking. All right, we have an outro here.
Mm-hmm. Feel better? Good. Thank you, Mr. Brightside.
All right, let's see. James Wilks, MMA fighter, is going to be in a second. We're talking about the vegan world. So we had Vinny in last week. We'll talk vegan this week. We'll see what we arrive at. It's the #1 documentary on iTunes, by the way. James Cameron produced. Arnold Schwarzenegger's in this thing. First, Castrol Edge. You can tweet us at Adam Carolla Show with hashtag Castrol Challenge with your questions for Castrol Challenge, brought to you by Castrol Edge. Formulated with fluid titanium technology, reduces friction, maximizes engine performance. 3 times stronger, fool.
3 times, fool.
Than full synthetic oil, leading full synthetics. What do you got, Max?
At Joby Hopper on Twitter wants to know #Casual Challenge. Why do manual transmissions sometimes refuse to go into first when you're coming to a stop?
It's emotional. They were abused.
They're just being passive aggressive.
The short. Okay, if you rev matched, if you blip the throttle, if you blip the accelerator pedal and got the revs up, it would be easier to go into first. My Porsche 935 is a 4-speed, and first gear is good to about 80 miles an hour. So if you're racing at Laguna Seca and you get down to the end of the straight, you can put it into first gear at 40 miles an hour because it's good to 80. Most cars, first gear is good to 30 miles an hour. So if you try to jam it in at 40, it's not good because it's good to 30. It's not long.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. I imagine if you wedge it into first, if it's good till 30 and you try to wedge it in at 10 or 15, you can kind of do it. The transmission and the people that manufacture the transmission don't like you doing that. That's hard on the transmission. It's hard on the car. But if you would like to blip the throttle, you would probably have an easier time doing it, although I'd kind of get out of that habit anyway, just in terms of wear and tear.
You have a car that goes to 80 miles an hour, first gear.
Well, first, Maxipata. If you find me in that car going around Laguna Seca, when at the beginning of the straightaway, it's first gear going around that corner, and then it's whatever you get up to in that first gear by the time you get up there. But it's long. It's I don't know why they do it that way, but it is long. All right. I'll give you a second to find that. We'll do it when we come back for the break, yeah? All right, James Wilks, MMA, next. James Wilks in studio, 41, retired MMA fighter, has won season 9 of The Ultimate Fighter, which is a great show, fun reality show to watch. And the welterweight division, MMA record 10-4. And the movie, The Game Changers, it's available now on Netflix, Apple Movies, Google Play, YouTube, everywhere else. James Cameron produced, Arnold Schwarzenegger's in it. Good to meet you.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
So we have a guy named Vinny Tortorich who sits where you sit, and he talks all about protein and all about the positive effects of protein-based and eggs and meat and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
This, of course, is the opposite of that. So let's drill down. Let's tell us first, vegan. Vegan is vegetarian minus any animal protein. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically. I mean, vegetarian would be no meat, and then vegan would be no milk, and eggs, that type of thing.
And I just watched the trailer, and I see all the testimonials and the strength and the benefits, and it's not. I think if you're watching the video and you showed a bunch of endurance skiers or something, you'd go, well, okay, for the skinny guy. But this is powerlifting. This is fighting, combat sports. This is football players making the switch and feeling the improvement. So what are we missing when Vinny sits there and says, eat some eggs and eat some steaks and you'll get strong, and you can't make it on a vegan diet, or you can't make it for long on a vegan diet? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can build tons of strength and muscle on a meat-based diet. There's no question about that, right? Because it's just evident by just looking around at people that most people are eating meat and they're doing quite well. But they're not necessarily doing well because of that meat. They're doing well in spite of it. So you can, we're talking about protein is the sort of main concern of most people. What you got to remember is that all protein originates in plants, and animals are just the middlemen. Right, and what they're doing is they're actually doing you a disservice because they're robbing the food of fiber and phytonutrients. They're concentrating pesticides and toxic heavy metals, and they're adding in inflammatory mediators too, which aren't great for athletic performance or for health.
What would be an experiment? Well, not an experiment. I want to get it out of the lab, but if somebody you watch the documentary and it's intriguing and you ask a lot of questions, you get a lot of answers. If somebody said, I want to try this out for a week. Is that too short a period of time?
No, I mean, you can certainly, as you've seen in the film, you can actually see benefits within hours. So, one of the tests that we do with the lead delegate of urology for the American Medical Association is on erectile function, right, looking at blood flow. So studies have been done for the past 20 years on food and how it affects blood flow, but it had never been tested before on erections. And, sure enough, you have a plant-based meal, and, erections were lasting 300 to 500% longer, circumference is bigger, just because, you're getting better blood flow to the...
Somebody just tweeted me.
Gina, for your next Eat Your Feelings, I have thoughts. She does a cooking segment.
Somebody just tweeted me, Maxipad, I don't know, 2 days ago, an article about doctors say steak hurts, sort of what you just said.
Yeah.
That probably came from the film. It just was a tweet that somebody sent me, and they said, hey, tell your buddy Vinny that eating a steak's not going to help your dingling.
He's been out of L.A. for 2 days.
I know.
This is how we treat his corpse.
So I'm always just kind of looking for practical, let's try this out. So if you're talking to somebody and he said, try it out for 3 days, give it a shot, because I'm game. I'll give it a shot, see see if I feel any different or what it's like. What would you say, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 days?
Well, I do oatmeal most days with peanut butter and flax seeds, berries, bananas, that type of thing. Do you like oatmeal?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, people usually ask me what I eat, but that's not always the best way to look at things because it depends what you eat. So the other thing is it's not always great to make massive changes quickly. So for some people, it's better to incorporate things slowly. And, we're talking, although all of the athletes that we interviewed in the film are completely vegan, we did that because we don't want people to say, oh, it's the fish they eat once a month or, whatever. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be, we like to say it's all or something. So the more whole plant food you eat, the better off you're going to be.
Now, Vinny would sit here and he'd say, well, yeah, eat a whole bunch of vegetables, but stay away from the pasta. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, so there's, that's because the carbohydrates have got a bad rap, right? And so when people say, oh, grains are bad and pasta's bad and white rice is bad, well, there's a difference between whole grain pasta and then like refined pasta or, whole grain rice or refined rice. There's a big difference on how it affects your blood sugar, how it affects your body. So that's the carbohydrates are bad for you if they're in like white sugar, white flour, that type of thing. But if they're bananas and sweet potatoes, those have actually got an inverse correlation with waist circumference, body fat percentage. So when we look at these carbs and pasta, it depends on the type, right? So it's more the quality of the food. People are always sort of so interested in like the protein, the fat, the carb ratios. Not too much of this. Some people are low carb, low fat, high protein, low protein. But it's really the quality of those foods that matter.
Gina.
Yeah, I know some vegans that are very, very strict, and they love a lot of the stuff that it seems like it's processed, the vegan hot dogs or the vegan cheeses, because it's widely available now, which I guess is great when you're looking for options. But in terms of processed vegan food, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the word processed, like what does that really mean? So if you cut an apple in half, that's a process. You cut it in lots of bits and you finally have applesauce, right? That's very different than...
Or high ingredients.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing, right? So it depends. So limited ingredients is usually a good thing, but not necessarily if there's lots of good ingredients. So rather than processed, I think of refined. So if you refine oils and you refine protein and isolate it, that's not going to be as good. But when you ask if something's healthy, it's always compared to what, right? So, this Beyond Burger that's now at some of the fast food joints, is it the healthiest to go to Carl's Jr., eat white bread with a burger in it? I don't think anyone's going there thinking this is where I'm getting my health. I'm eating here for health. But when you compare, is that Beyond Burger in a white bun healthy compared to the meat-based burger? There's lots of reasons why it is better. But if you compared it to like, some lentils, then it's not as good. So it's always compared to what?
How'd James Cameron get involved with this? Or how'd you get involved with this?
So,
how'd I get here?
What are we doing
on?
Why
What's it all mean?
So, I personally got involved. I was training for a fight. I got injured sparring with a future heavyweight champion in the UFC. So we had about 80 or 90 pounds, tore ligaments in both of my knees. Thought, well, what can I do? I'm going to be injured for the next 6 months. How can I spend my time productively? So I started looking into, digging into the peer-reviewed research on recovery and nutrition. Thinking, how can I speed up? And then also my performance. How after I've recovered, how can I perform best? That's when I came across a study about the Roman gladiators. So scientists analyzed the bones of the only known gladiator burial site in the world in Ephesus, Turkey. 68 gladiator skeletons, 5,000 bones. And they analyzed, and they could tell that they were eating almost exclusively, if not completely, plants. I thought, that's got to be bullshit, right? So, I started really digging into it. And as I was learning more and more, I thought I knew a lot about nutrition, but I realized it was from health magazines and websites, blogs, that type of thing. When I started digging into the peer-reviewed science, I realized it was all a lie. It's been fed by the meat industry. And so I felt like I had to make a documentary about it. So we started, doing some filming, and then I was introduced to James Cameron through one of the original executive producers on the show, and that's when James Cameron had watched another documentary, gone home, thrown out all the animal foods out of his kitchen, and so he's really big into it for both health and for the environment.
What is the process for examining the bones and figuring out what the diet was of the skeletal remains?
So there's a radioisotope analysis and a strontium calcium analysis. So when foods are plant foods,
UFC fighters and your fancy words. Jesus Christ, we didn't all fight, okay? Dumb it down a little for those who went to college.
So basically, plant foods are high in strontium, and so there was double the amount of strontium that you'd find from someone that was eating really any significant portion of animal foods, and they compared it to the regular citizens at that time, and they had sort of normal levels of strontium.
Right. So obviously, this wasn't sometimes there are other factors where you go, well, they didn't have money, so they couldn't afford, but these guys were the athletes of the time.
Well, so that's a counter argument, which is, well, they were slaves, they were fed slave food, right? But the thing is, are you going to want your fighters to perform well in front of you or not so well? And they weren't all slaves,
You feed them whatever you think will make them perform.
Right.
And
they were actually known as hordearii, which means beans and barley muncher when you translate it. So even contemporaneously, they were.
So they fought. They had a plant-based diet, and that's what they fed the warriors of the MMA fighters of the day, essentially.
Yeah, that's why it intrigued me to look into it. That didn't convince me, but that sort of was a sort of eye-opening thing. I thought, that can't be true. Let me dig into it.
And so there's a power lifter for the U.S. team that's in the dock that upped his game.
Kendrick Farris, yeah.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. What's
Schwarzenegger's take on it? Is he vegan?
He's not vegan. He's cut down on his meat by 80%. He's always hated dairy anyway. So again, he's an advocate for both health reasons. His blood markers improved, his cholesterol improved, because he's got some genetic heart issues anyway. So he wanted to, be eating healthier, and then he's also into it for the environment as well.
The New York Post is the article. The more meat you eat, the shorter your erections last. Mm-hmm. It's an article based off of the movie. Oh, so that's what it was.
Yeah, and so we have the lead delegate of urology for the American Medical Association, Dr. Aaron Spitz, arguably the top urologist in the country. But as he pointed out, and as we put in the film, it's not a scientifically validated study, right? They're not, there's not enough of a control group. There's not enough people to really show. But because of the strength of signal and like how about around 10% increase in circumference and just having more blood flow there, and like 300 to 500% in duration. It was pretty significant.
How many fights did you have after you switched to vegan?
Yeah, that's a good question. So unfortunately, so I started training for a fight after I switched. My endurance improved significantly. My strength improved. For example, on the ropes, you've seen the battling ropes, 50 foot.
Sure.
So the most I'd ever got was 8 minutes. And if you got 10 minutes, you got your name on the wall at our gym. Mm-hmm. And there was like a bunch of professional athletes and some other UFC fighters, collegiate athletes.
Longshoremen. Guys who really knew it.
Yeah.
Guys who really could handle the rope.
Right. And like 6 weeks after I went I was just trying it as an experiment. 6 weeks after I went plant-based, I did an hour straight.
An hour?
Gym record, yeah.
Couldn't make it to 8. Made it to 8, but couldn't make it to 10.
But unfortunately, so I was training for another fight. This film took a long time to make. This is 2012. And slammed my head into the wall, hurt my neck, went to get it checked out. And I'd actually broken my neck previously. So I've got severe stenosis in my neck. And unfortunately, I retired from fighting and never got a chance to fight trying.
But it's an interesting yardstick, something like the ropes, because you could get to 8 and you're a person who's determined. If you're going to fight UFC, you can't be a person that, pardon the pun, taps out earlier, like, I can't do it or whatever. You when you got to 8, that was as far as you could get, as hard as you could go. And if 10 gets you your name on the wall, then this is a little bit of apples to apples, pardon the vegan pun, but this is a little bit of, wow, if you just went past your old record 6-fold or 7-fold, that strikes me as something.
Yeah, I mean, it's anecdotal, right? But it's also backed up by when you start looking at the science, you understand the biological mechanisms.
Right.
You understand that you get reduced inflammation, more blood flow, more oxygen to the nutrients to the muscles, then it starts making sense.
But really from 8 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, my hands were bleeding, blisters.
Yeah.
I could have kept going. It was like an hour and 1 minute, and I could have kept going, actually.
What about the other losers on the wall at 10 minutes now?
Took them all down.
Well, there's a few people that got 20 minutes, but there's no, yeah.
Wow. And so you got the gym record.
Yep.
Wow. The movie, again, it's on Netflix and it's available. I'm gonna watch it. It's very well shot. I guess that's a James Cameron thing, or?
So we had Luis Cejoyos, who's got the most award-winning documentary of all time, in The Cove. So he's our director.
Oh, The Cove's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that won the Academy Awards and Sundance Awards and about 70 other awards. So it was a lot of that, and then just a really great team that put it together.
Is there more vegan, vegetarian restaurants? I guess there must be popping up, but I still don't feel like I see a lot of them.
There's a handful.
Yeah,
I think there are starting to pick up more in LA and New York, but the other thing
real
is,
food dailies.
But the other thing is that you're noticing is that the other mainstream restaurants are starting to incorporate more plant-based options. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a weird move where, I mean, I get it if you're trying to be vegan or vegetarian, but I just feel like if you're vegan or vegetarian, don't go into Burger King or don't go to Taco Bell. Like, I feel that way about Snackwell cookies. Like, look, if you said I'm not going to eat dessert or cut back on it, then eat a peach, as what band said
Greg
they
Allman?
Greg
Allman
Allman would
Brothers.
say. What I'm saying is like, don't do the substitute
Right.
fake synthesized version of it, because I would be worried. It's sort of like when you tell Dr. Drew, when someone would go to Dr. Drew, like, oh, I don't touch the booze anymore. I don't do the whiskey anymore. It's just beer and wine. He'd always go, I don't know. That doesn't mean you're sober. Like, I feel like if you're going vegan and you're hanging out at Burger King, I don't trust you.
And you never know what you're going to get, man. You know?
No. All right.
It's hard
Should
to
we
tell.
do? Yes.
Just one last thing, because I know like 2 vegans, and I know one person who has been raw for 15 years, and this person is very spindly, very pale, but very energetic, and really, really lives by the raw lifestyle. I haven't seen it yet. Does the documentary get into that specifically?
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think you can, eat all uncooked foods, but the problem, you got to be really careful with it.
Yeah.
You got to really know what you're doing. I think we're just better off eating cooked foods, because when you eat raw, you're missing out on beans and lentils and those things, of which, like, if you look at the blue zones, which is the longest living people in the world, the centenarians that live all around the world. There's only one in the U.S. It's in Loma Linda, California, actually. The food that they all eat the most of is beans, actually, and legumes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think if you're eating raw diet, fruits and
You're missing
vegetables, you're going to miss out on protein, and you can do it. I don't think you perform at your best, and like you said, you could end up being pretty skinny.
I don't want to correct you, but it's Yoplait yogurt, because there used to be a commercial when I was a kid that talked about the blue zone, some part of, I don't know, some place where they keep yaks as pets or something, and or transportation, I can't remember, but it was a Yoplait yogurt one where they're showing like 118-year-old people, and it was Yoplait yogurt. Look, maybe it's a little dubious because Yoplait yogurt was invented when the person was 91. So maybe that wasn't the building block of their success. I'm no scientist.
It came at the crucial time, dude.
Oh, if only my grandfather had eaten that on his deathbad, we'd still be here today.
Live and learn, or not.
Was it Dannon or was it Yoplait?
I'm seeing Dannon.
Oh, Dannon. It was Dannon. It was Dannon yogurt that kept these people going. You,
some mountainous region,
as a vegan, are going to never stop throwing up your lentils when you see this commercial, James.
In Soviet Georgia, there are 2 curious things about the people. A large part of their diet is yogurt, and a large number of them live past 100. Now, we're not saying that Dannon yogurt will help you live longer, but Dannon low-fat yogurt is a wholesome, natural food rich in nutrition. By the way, 89-year-old Bagrat Tapagua liked Dannon so much, he ate 2 cups. That pleased his mother very much. Dannon, America's #1.
Any commercial that stops in the middle and go, now we're not saying this has anything to do with anything.
Anyway, back to the.
Now, lest we got ourselves in trouble and making outrageous claims.
Right. But here's a bunch of stuff you don't have to listen to after we said that. All right. Should we do a little news, Gina Grad? James, you hang in. Crack wise.
News with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral. All those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad. Trouble in the Middle East. Celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Max Zapata, what did that car get to in first gear? Do you have it?
Oh, I
Can you tell?
put it up there. Here we'll play. This is you coming around that first corner.
We'll see.
Onto the straightaway.
That's first gear to like 73 or something.
That's crazy.
Tell it's got a long first gear.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe 75 in first gear.
It looked over 75.
Oof. So as Lori Loughlin and her husband Massimo Giannulli await their fate in the college admission scandal, USC is confirming that their daughters are no longer enrolled there. Loughlin rejected a plea deal similar to the one that Felicity Huffman accepted. She's waiting, and prosecutors are waiting, and they'll see if she gets a prison sentence. Her trial's next year. Meanwhile, also breaking today, parents who have pleaded not guilty in this scandal, including Lori Loughlin and her husband, now face an additional bribery charge, according to federal prosecutors. I think the longer you hold out, the more stuff they're going to find and throw at you. 11 parents.
This is a sad thought, but I feel like half of our agencies, the federal agents, FBI, and CIA and such. I feel like half of them are working on the USC admissions scandal, and the other half are digging up Trump stuff. Now's prime time for the terrorists.
Don't tell everybody.
Like
now's the time to strike.
Nobody's at the wheel. We got half are looking into the Steele dossier, the other half are looking into Lori Loughlin, and pow,
Aunt Becky,
another 9/11.
Oh my God,
we are primed.
Well,
we're spread thin.
They are hyper focused on this right now.
I am so, maybe it's just being a dumb atheist. I have no interest in this. Pay somebody, pick up some garbage. Let's get on with our lives. You guys go work on fentanyl coming in through the Mexican. Go work on the tunnels and the container ships or whatever it is you do. Let these broads pay for something. Dedicate a library in South Central or something, and let's get on with our lives.
Oh, that is far from happening because Loughlin and these other 11 parents already face charges of conspiracy fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering as part of the sprawling scheme to use their wealth to cheat and bribe and lie. Now, the new charge accuses the parents of bribing USC employees to get their children admitted to the school. So specifically the employees, not just the school. Of the 52 people charged, 29, including Felicity Huffman, have already agreed to plead guilty. And again, I think the longer they hold out, the more stuff they're going to just try and keep throwing.
All right.
So that'll be next year's entertainment. Canadian Prime Minister
it's all reflection on the parents, right? Like, you're going to USC or you're going to this school so I can brag about you.
Right, like the bishops.
There, right?
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's right.
Because I have no interest in what schools
My
might go
parents can
to. But
brag to the
I don't have
garbage
that
men
wiring.
friends.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. There you go.
Does it still mean that much? I guess it does.
I think if you're in certain circles,
Yeah,
these are all wealthy,
They are.
Actresses,
It reflects back on them. I went to the closest school that would have me, which was the University of Kansas. I had a good time. I had a decent education. It didn't come up in our house like to study for SATs or anything.
James, you seem very educated. Did you go to college?
I did,
or
yeah.
to university?
Yeah, I did a 4-year degree, Bachelor of Science.
How'd that
don't
lead
use any of it.
to UFC fighting?
It's a doctor kicking ass.
That's right.
Well, I came out here for 6 months to train with a guy that developed the unarmed combat program for the Navy SEALs. And, supposed to go back and get a job after that, but liked the weather, liked the martial arts training, so stayed. So that was in 2000.
People love dojos, man.
Yeah.
I think they don't like wearing shoes.
Is that what it comes down
I
to?
think it's kind of that. I mean, they like martial arts, but they love being barefoot.
Does that ring true?
Even actually not being in the dojo, just walking around, I prefer barefoot.
See?
So there
he
you
has
go.
a love of
You're
being
right.
barefoot, and this is very inviting. Most places, no shoes, no service, but
Right.
the dojo, you get yelled at if you wear shoes
I
onto
can
that
never even
mat.
get that because, why are the feet dirtier than the shoes?
I don't know. I feel like you've just been stepping in crap all day.
Same thing you would have done with the shoes on.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I'm saying with the shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Agree.
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola agrees with Martin Scorsese's criticism of Marvel movies. The Godfather director told reporters in France that the superhero flicks are despicable. And Coppola says when Martin Scorsese says that the Marvel pictures are not cinema, he's right, because we expect to learn something from cinema. We can expect to gain something enlightening, some knowledge, some inspiration, he added. I don't know that anyone gets anything out of seeing the same movie over and over again. Coppola was in France to be honored.
He's made 3 Godfather movies.
With an award. One fell off completely for his contribution to cinema. And the Marvel Universe is the most successful film franchise of all time, grossing more than $18 billion.
Well, I agree in some regards in that when I was young, you're sort of forced to watch movies like The Sting or movies like that, or even Rocky 1 or some things like that, which are very plodding and slow by today's standards. They weren't made for a 9-year-old. They're made for an adult.
Even The Godfather is, slow by today's standards. It's
over
fantastic.
3 hours.
And one of my favorites.
Right. Even all the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid or something, they're not made for kids, but there's a certain maturation process that as a 10-year-old sitting in the theater and getting through a movie like that and having to kind of rise up to it a little bit versus, hey, this is made for you because it's going to be nonstop in your face action. I mean, there's something to that. I mean, you can't call it junk or crap or whatever, but it'd be nice if we leaned a little, started getting back toward those types of simple classic movies, and a little less sort of, here, we're going to bowl you over with action.
Well, and at this point, those movies are funding the more cinematic movies because they're the ones that are bringing in $18 billion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a blind man, we talk a lot about service animals. We're going to kind of flip that a little bit to the other side of the coin. A blind man claims he and his blind pal were verbally accosted by a self-proclaimed animal rights activist while they were at a bar with their guide dogs.
Does self-proclaimed work in front of anything? It really doesn't.
Oh, yeah.
Heavyweight champ,
Yeah.
genius.
You'll see this-
Self-proclaimed doesn't work.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed just means, I'm never dealing with a crazy person.
Yeah, I've
Right.
decided.
Right.
So Amit Patel, he's a disability activist. He took to Twitter
you don't
Sunday
like Amit.
to detail the drama at a Marriott hotel in
James
the UK.
with a beat Amit. Go ahead, sorry.
After he spoke at this awards ceremony that gives recognition to animals and humans, who have this companionship, he tweeted, "Last night, 2 blind guys and our dogs at a bar were having a quiet drink. We then get accosted by aggressive women screaming that we're cruel for having guide dogs." Patel told Unilad that the unruly women were shouting that Patel and his friend were, quote, absolutely cruel for having guide dogs, and even suggested that the men were equivalent to the people who organized dog fights. Patel,
I miss a simpler time when middle-aged crazy broads would just sit home and eat Haagen-Dazs and cry.
bonbons.
Now they're out on the street and they're fucking loud and proud.
They've taken to the street.
A lot of chicks screaming outdoors now.
Get in your face in
Nice
bars.
to reel it in just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Not in the
You know what I
privacy of
mean?
your own home at your husband.
Just sit home in your little shame spiral and wonder where the years went. Keep your fat ass in the apartment is kind of what I'm saying.
Okay.
They don't like him having a guide dog?
They don't, because they equate it to he might as well organize dog fights. Patel
I
said,
do like when you make a jump.
It's a real A to B
You're all of a
argument.
sudden you're Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Like, really? Now, I get a ride dog. It's not good. But a guide dog.
Yeah, very
There's
helpful.
nothing my dog likes more than a walk.
Yeah.
So this is essentially a dog that's getting walked constantly.
Well, and to your,
Well,
to your
dog's walking
point,
the guy.
Patel
Yeah.
said his service dog, Kika, has been with him for 5 years. He's allowed him to venture out without fear, and added, these dogs don't make it through training if they don't want to be there. You just won't be a guide dog. You're not being beaten into submission. You have to be enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, again, if in my list of people to scream at, blind guys
Yeah, the guide dog way down the list.
using a dog that's in the teens. It's not even crack my top 10 of people to scream at in public.
This is what puts vegans in a bad light, right? Is because that's what you think of as over the top, throwing fake blood on people or calling people out for their guide dogs.
Yeah.
Is that what you do?
Yeah,
Do you know
only
her?
on the weekends. Yeah.
It happened at Marriott UK.
They,
I was there last week.
I think I just heard a story that, Nordstrom's not selling fur anymore.
Yeah.
Like somebody's
It's been banned in California.
Yeah,
Oh, it's been banned in California.
Yeah, we're done.
New sales of fur.
Jesus Christ, we're going to have to go to Mexico to get my coats now.
Use a tunnel.
You have to use Nutria.
Does anyone really need a fur coat? Like, I'm not into all this banning this and banning that, but fur, I get it. Like, you don't need it.
Well, and it's such a vestige of the past because this grandmothers and great aunts, we have my grandmother's fur coats and their minks and their stuff, and they were only used twice a year.
You saved for special occasions.
For high holidays. They all kept them at the furriers, that would control with the temperature, and you take it out for Rosh Hashanah, and you take it out for Yom Kippur, and you put it back for the rest of the year.
Isn't this sort of a hate crime, though? I mean, what about gentlemen of leisure? Do you know what I mean? Fur hat, black
Sure.
guy,
Okay.
Bishop Don Magic Wand. You want him going out in something from Old Navy?
No.
He's going to lose his pimp hand. Going to go out,
It would hurt his brand.
try to get some runaways to see things his way.
They take one look at that
He's
Kangol
wearing
hat.
a fucking windbreaker
Yeah.
from Old Navy? No way.
So long.
Sorry.
Hey, bitch, you're supposed to be afraid of me. I don't think so.
I'm going back to school.
What we should do? Force him to drive a Prius now? He's got no pimp hand.
It's a slippery slope.
That's the way the man makes his living.
That's right. Green is for the money, gold's
for the honey.
He's got a paper straw in his chalice.
That's right.
Everything's ruined.
I went around with him, and I literally drove around with him, and he's drinking out of a chalice.
God bless him.
And I said, "You ever get pulled over for an open chalice?" God knows what's in that chalice.
It's a reasonable question.
It's a very reasonable question.
I have one of his shoes, green and gold shoe, because he used to come in at, Conway KLSX all the time, and he brought us shoes and signed them. I don't know why I have it, but if anyone wants it, let me know.
California banned the sale of manufacturing of fur starting in 2023, so I got to start hoarding chinchilla now.
Now's the time.
Anyway, Newsom signed the bill too? Good. All right, there you go.
A Russian bodybuilder known as Popeye, and you've got to see this guy's picture, was destroyed in an MMA fight.
Oh my.
3 minutes by an opponent 20 years his senior. This is according to New York Post. What we're looking at is not natural, obviously. It is terrifying.
It's a lot of plant protein.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And we have a little bit of the fight, too. You can run it while I tell you the story.
So he has huge biceps and triceps.
They're like
Novelty.
freakish,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
novelty freakish.
23-year-old Kirill Tereshin injected his muscles with highly dangerous synthol and developed huge Popeye-like arms, and you're seeing a little bit of the footage right now. But his bizarre 24-inch biceps could not help him defeat blogger and actor Oleg Mongol at a gym in Russia. The ex-army soldier was submitted in an MMA bout in the first round. A doctor did warn him about the dangers of injecting synthol. Apparently, it causes everything: pulmonary embolisms, nerve damage, infections, words I can't pronounce, stroke.
I always wonder what these drugs are for. Like, what is this made for? You know what I mean?
That's not a drug. I think that's just an oil that you're literally injecting. Just to
really? Yeah, this says oil-filled cysts or ulcers
just,
as well.
It's just
so it's not even medication.
It's just it's not like a steroid. Yeah,
it's just a novelty aesthetic thing.
You probably got it out from one of your cars.
But hold on.
Thought you were running a little.
Before I went into the bedroom, if I wanted to have a T-bone steak, but then inject my hog with this, I feel like it could overcompensate for the
you can skirt around the
debilitating
veganism.
effects of the beef. Jesus Christ. They do anything in Russia, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
They're out of control.
I know. I like that they still wrestle bears.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We run from bears. Yeah. That's our thing. We scurry. Castrol Edge, stronger under pressure. Engines can lose up to 10% of performance due to friction. Castrol Edge with fluid titanium transforms under pressure. Keep them metal parts from rubbing and robbing 3 times.
3 times, fool!
Stronger and leading full synthetic against viscosity breakdown. It is the best. It's Castrol Edge, everybody. All right, Gina, what else we got?
Well, the XFL officially announced their 2020 schedule, and it's happening less than 1 week after the Super Bowl, which will be played on Sunday, February 2nd. The XFL will kick off a game between the DC Defenders and the Seattle Dragons February 8th. The 10-week regular season will play out over the course of 79 days, with 2 top teams in each round of the 2 4-team divisions. They will go to the playoffs. So you don't have to miss any sports.
The XFL's it's going?
Yeah. It's
they had a
McMahon.
Draft. They had a draft.
Yeah. A couple weeks ago, we read down all the awesome nicknames. It's a go.
I was delighted to show my son Rich Eisen kicking the football into my ass when I was snapping it to Marshall Falk the other day, because my son's so into football and he's never seen me snap the ball and get the ball kicked into my ass by Rich Eisen. But the internet's a bizarre place. Everything's just there. We're sitting in a Mexican food
You
place.
just typed in Adam Carolla gets in the ass, and
that's right.
God knows that
got so many viruses.
Yeah, he couldn't sleep that night for the first 140 images that came up, but then we got to Rich Eisen.
And it was sweet dreams.
This is Rich Eisen kicking me in the ass at the NFL Network. By the way, watch the snap, everyone, to Marshall Falk. Just focus on the snap.
Go for it.
Bingo.
Touchdown.
Now that's more than a coincidence.
He did it twice. I think he did it.
Is it because I have the #1 podcast in America? Really?
I think he did it 2 times.
I'm killing people off. Oh my!
I swear he did it. I don't know if you can figure this out, Max, but I think
he must have, because you said, okay, that's more than a coincidence.
He kicked me in the ass 2 straight times. Like I don't think if you got a Sebastian Janikowski and you paid him, he could do that 2 times in a row. I mean, it's I don't have a huge ass, you know.
It's not big.
No,
it's normal.
It's a pleaser,
sure,
but it's not.
It's a grower, not a shower.
Not bulbous. I don't know. What were we talking about? XFL.
Yeah, it's coming back. Are you into it? Do you care?
You know, here's what happened with football. Football, it would be like at the end of the Super Bowl, no more football until, for another 8 months, and that was it. Now it's all these, like, the 100 greatest games on the NFL Network.
The Combine, the draft.
The Combines, the draft, and then all the retrospective, like Tom Landry, the coach, a football life. And you're doing, I'm looking at Dr. Drew, but it's like, it's not fulfilling, but it's kind of chipping. You know what I mean? You can get by. You won't get the night sweats. You get the edge off, and then they have the round tables and all the archival footage.
So you never have to be without it.
No, and it'll hold you over to the next season. All right, let me hit Geico. Everyone's got the to-do list. How about you save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance? You don't have to go anywhere. Just go to geico.com. 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on your auto insurance. Take the extra money, put it in your pocket, be the most rewarding thing you do all day at Geico. That is geico.com. All right, Gina, one more.
You got it.
Wait, did he do it twice?
Yeah, but this is the other time.
Oh, my God.
We have it on tape. Here it is on tape. He split this up.
Oh, sorry. We got to look at it again. All right, so he hits me. He does it 2 times.
He split this up.
He was aiming for it. You weren't even in the same position.
2 kicks in a row. He hit me right in the ass.
Yeah,
Of all the places to get hit, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't turning around for a reason.
Smart.
It's not
Rich
dignified.
taking nutsack off. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Well, Domino's Japan is adding some spice with their new limited edition pizza. It's part of their Halloween roulette pizza campaign, and one of the slices is spiked with ghost pepper.
Do you guys get nauseated when you see like the IHOP commercials and they're like, for Halloween, and they take like the purple whipped cream and they spray it all over the place, and it's like, it's weird looking and it looks so synthetic and grotesque.
And the Whopper, it's like black and purple meat and bun, and it's gross.
I get it. It's Halloween.
Yeah, but we can just have candy in a regular burger.
Who's that for?
I don't know.
Like, oh, great, colored food.
Food bloggers and stoners.
Ostensibly kids, but isn't here's the problem.
Isn't IHOP for kids anyway?
IHOP used to be enough. You know what I mean? This is basically a blowjob with an Altoid. Don't need it.
The blowjob or the Altoid?
Careful.
Let me write this down.
Just stick with the blowjob. You want an Altoid later.
Okay,
That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
You got to get that taste.
That's my business.
You're the one who needs the Altoid.
Right. Understood.
Save that Altoid.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's after.
You're going to need it.
Sure. So it's part of their roulette pizza campaign. Ghost pepper is now the 8th hottest chili. It was the first. Now it's the 8th with its rating of more than 1 million on the Scoville scale. It's 400 times hotter than Tabasco. And you're not going to be able to detect which slice has the ghost pepper because the ghost pepper is in liquid form, so they just drizzle it over the top of your pizza, so you just go
ghost
for
pepper
it.
Extract.
You detect it at some point.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'll find out pretty quick.
This is just a Russian roulette. Like they just want to. It's a game.
Novelty
it's a challenge.
pizza game. Yeah, because Japan and us, we do dumb shit. We have there was a Cheez-It pizza stuffed Cheez-Its. Or Pizza Hut, it's like a big pillowy giant Cheez-It, and they put the pizza shit inside.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
But shouldn't we just have like one slice where an employee beat off on it, and then if we really turn this into a turn, like, hey, we want some real steaks
It's
here.
Hooky Cookie.
Yeah, it's Hooky Pizza.
Jizzy Pizza.
Do we have the IHOP commercial that is freaking me out?
Yes, we do have the new Addams Family menu with Wednesday's web cakes and haunted hot chocolate. And for
Doesn't look real.
kids eat free.
Whoa, let's go. I call shotgun. Pancake.
All right, consider this about Addams Family. It's not like it was a good show.
Yeah,
what do we need so much Addams Family stuff?
Again, who's this for?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Back
I don't
with
know.
a
Like
vendor.
the
Who
show.
has nostalgia for this?
You know what I learned the other
nobody.
day, though, in those photos? For when they're taking photos like that, they're actually using shaving cream.
Oh, sure, yeah, 'cause it won't
They
melt.
they don't use real cream when they do the videos and photo
Ice
shoots.
creams, mashed potatoes, up
Or
is
maybe
down,
they've
left
had
is
an
right.
issue with stoned grips eating the product, and they
Yeah.
finally had to
That'll
substitute
show 'em.
shave cream. All right, let's call it a day, Gina
You
Grant.
got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Imagine me taking several thousand linear feet of cock.
Gina.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
James, how many stone do you weigh?
Oh, wow. 13 and a bit. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've used stone.
What is a
About
stone?
190. Isn't it 14 pounds?
That sounds about right.
Sure.
In a stone, yeah.
Can
But
we
the
get
thing
away
is,
from
I know
that?
that Americans think that's weird, but you don't say how many inches tall you are. You say I'm 6'1".
Right.
So you'd say I'm like 13 stone, 2 pounds or whatever.
That's true.
I
Good technicality.
get it, but I just feel like we should stay out of the quarry. You know what I mean? Just go right to the scale.
Yeah. No, I haven't used it for years.
But they have stone scales in England, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they have 2 readings on them, pounds and stone?
Yeah. Yeah, just like a car. Don't most cars have the
metric and the standard SAE and the metric stuff?
Yeah.
Huh. Wonder if I got a stone.
Stone scale?
Yeah.
can
I'd
work
like
with
to
that.
know.
Yeah.
Can't just convert it.
15 stone. Got to cut back a little
I
bit.
think the UK is using kilograms now, though, right?
Oh, they do?
I think so.
Yeah, they
Just
got
when we
away
were
from the
learning
stone. Yeah. All right. Last but not least, Simply Safe. There you go. 2 eyes. Protect your home. Do it today. Get free shipping at simplysafe.com/Adam. Let's see. Salt Lake City. I'm going to be playing at Wise Guys this Friday and Saturday. That'll be October 25th, 26th. And then is it tomorrow where we're going to be? No Safe Spaces up there. Let's
Phoenix.
see. Phoenix. Thank you very much.
Thursday in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm not seeing. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I don't read well. Yeah, this Friday is gonna be. They're gonna be in Phoenix. NoSafeSpaces.com is where you go get tickets, and we'll see you on Thursday and Friday over there in Phoenix. Crank Yankers, all that good stuff. Comedians of the Adam Carolla Show, Torrance. That's coming up this Saturday. Jeff Cesario and Brian McDaniel, and let's see. Oh, from TMZ. Yeah, and Bald Brian's gonna be performing there, and more. Go to, where is that? It's Dudes Brewing Co.
AdamCarolla.com.
Go to AdamCarolla.com for all.
Yeah, Dudes Brewing Torrance.
And a few more tickets left for Laughs with Bald Brian's coming up fast, so check that out as well. James Wilks, The Game Changers, available now on Netflix. I'm going to watch it tonight. Apple Movies, Google Play, and YouTube as well. Website, GameChangersMovie.com. Thank you very much, James.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And until next time, Adam Carolla for James Wilks, Gina Grad, and Bald Brian saying, Mahala. I'm dating a black guy, and my dad's out of his mind, and he can't stand it.
Today's episode of Good Sports with Dave Damashek and Adam Carolla is coming up next. Follow the Adam Carolla Show on Twitter at Adam Carolla Show. Follow Ace on Twitter at Adam Carolla. You can leave us a voicemail at 888-634-1744 and get tickets and info on everything at AdamCarolla.com.